Aided by some late game heroics from the oldest player on the roster, Nick Folk, the New York Jets eke out their third win of the season at home against the Atlanta Falcons. We break it all down, our recap and reaction here on the DTereman Football Show. It starts right now.
Want to be a winner, not only have to understand how to win, but to understand how to consistently win.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome into another edition of the Believe in Jets podcast. I am your host, DTereman, covering a New York Jets victory, their third of the season. They pull off the upset at home against the Atlanta Falcons, 27-24. Late game heroics from our guy, Nick Folk, back like he never left, hitting a 56-yarder to clinch the victory for the Jets. We'll break it down chronologically, and then I'll give my overall thoughts at the end. The Jets lost the coin toss. Atlanta wins the coin toss. They elect to receive the ball first. 4 consecutive punts. So a pretty solid defensive showing for the beginning portion of this game. Only 3 possessions total in the first quarter. 2 by Atlanta, 1 by New York. And the second time they get the ball is already in the second quarter, still a scoreless game. The Jets have an 8-play, 51-yard drive that is stalled. They then have to punt themselves, so their second consecutive punt to start the game. However, Jamal Agnew, the returner for the Atlanta Falcons, muffs the punt inside the 5-yard line, and Quantez Stiggers picks it up for the recovery at the 2-yard line. So the Jets finally create a turnover that gives the offense a short field to work with, only 2 yards to go. The very next play, they cash in on a Brees run up the middle, untouched 2-yard touchdown. They open up the scoring at 7-0. And immediately the Fox broadcast shows a graphic that the Jets are 1 game shy of setting a new record, right, of bad history with 10 consecutive games lost where they were the team that scored first. The record was 11. So the Jets were already flirting with bad history to start this game. Atlanta gets the ball back. They have to punt on 4 straight plays. The Jets go 3 and out. They trade punts back and forth once more. So all in all, the Atlanta Falcons started the game with 4 consecutive punts. So the defense was, although getting gashed at times by Bijan Robinson in the run game, and we'll get into that, 4 straight punts for the Atlanta Falcons until they finally had a touchdown drive, 10 plays, 62 yards in the second quarter. They had about 3 minutes to go in that drive, and they put together a scoring drive right at the end of half. The Jets only get it back with a couple seconds left, kneel it out, go to halftime, 7-7. A very close but sometimes boring first half of this game. So the New York Jets get the ball coming out of half. They go 3 and out, only 5 yards gained on that entire drive. Just not really a solid offensive drive coming out of half. You would like to see something more sustained, something longer in terms of not having a 3 and out. Atlanta, however, turns around. They punt them down inside the 5, so Atlanta is starting at their own 5-yard line. So a really field position type battle for the Jets here in this close game. Unfortunately, Atlanta goes 8 plays, 95 yards in just over 4 minutes and scores a touchdown. They retake the lead 14-7. However, the Jets' immediate response, and this is credit to coaching, credit to Tyrod Taylor, credit to A.D. Mitchell and the offense as well. 2 plays, 65 yards. The Jets respond in 38 seconds and tie the game up. They had their first play of that drive was a 13-yard pass to Brees Hall on the sidelines. And then they had a 52-yard play action deep shot on a post to A.D. Mitchell where he burns Mike Hughes up the left sideline, gains separation at the top of his route, falling away, catching the ball into the end zone. A great deep shot attempt by Tyrod Taylor, a great route, a great catch to finish by A.D. Mitchell, and the Jets are back tied at 14-14. So a great response from that Jets offense. Atlanta gets the ball back. They miss a 50-yard field goal, gives the Jets a relatively short field. Unfortunately, they start with the ball on their own 40-yard line. They can only go 9 plays, 24 yards, and they have to settle for their own field goal attempt. This one was from 55 yards on 4th and 6. New York comes up just short on the Nick Folk field goal. So now Atlanta gets a short field. They start with the ball at their own 45. They go in and get a field goal, 17-14, heading into the fourth quarter. Again, the Jets with a good response, right? Maybe not the best response, but Isaiah Williams comes out on the kick return all the way down to the Atlanta 15-yard line on an 83-yard kick return. Isaiah Williams has just been an incredible turnaround story from being labeled Xavier Gibson 2.0 to really having this bounce back, winning Special Teams Player of the Month. I believe Special Teams Player of the Week as well, included in that month. So an 83-yard kick return by Isaiah Williams sets the Jets up at the Atlanta 15-yard line. Really wish he could have gotten to the end zone because the Jets only went 1 yard on 4 plays, settled for a field goal of their own, a 32-yard chip shot by Nick Folk. So they have, again, tied the game. This game was very close throughout. It was either tied or the Falcons had a 1-score lead at any portion of this game. Unfortunately, the Falcons respond back. 8 plays, 74 yards with a touchdown drive that was capped off on a 9-yard touchdown pass from Kirk Cousins to David Sills, where they had Jasir Taylor playing in the nickel in place of the injured Jarvis Brownlee, who was out for this game, a late add to the injury report with a hip injury. So Jasir Taylor was playing in the slot, one of their newest DB members. He rallies downhill to try to make a tackle. He can't do it. Brandon Stevens has a pretty weak attempt at an arm tackle. David Sills breaks both and finds the end zone to give the Falcons a 24-17 lead with 8 minutes and 46 seconds left to go. The Jets, on their ensuing possession, this was all about response to opposing teams scoring, right? This is the theme of the offense. Every time Atlanta scored, the Jets came back and matched it, right? A 15-play, 65-yard drive took just under 7 minutes to cap this one off, but ends in the end zone on a 10-yard scramble by Tyrod Taylor. Thought it was an excellent job all day of Tyrod Taylor using his legs when he absolutely had to. We'll get into the box score and the stats at the end, but a 10-yard scramble by Tyrod Taylor up the middle. He kind of, gives the second-level defender a little shimmy and gets past him, gets into the end zone, and the Jets tie it. Now, there's only 1 minute and 53 seconds left at this point after they score. So Atlanta gets the ball back. They make a great play on the special teams kickoff. Thought they did well there, stopping them. They get the ball at the 30-yard line. 1-yard run by Bijan, followed up by, a timeout by the Jets with 1 minute and 43 seconds left. And I think that's really important that timeout was taken after the 1-yard run because that set up 2nd and 9 with a stopped clock for the Atlanta Falcons. Kirk Cousins throws a pass over the middle, facing pressure by Will McDonald. I thought it should have been intentional grounding, but they didn't call it on the field. Jets save a timeout. It is 3rd and 9. The next play, they run a pass to the left to Bijan Robinson for 5 yards. They review the ruling on the field of a catch to Bijan for 5 yards, which would have cost the Jets a second timeout if they wanted to preserve as much clock and get the ball back. Replay officials review the play, reverse it. It's an incomplete pass to Bijan Robinson. So on 3rd and 9, the Jets get off the field and they only have to use 1 timeout. So now the Jets get the ball back. 1 minute and 26 seconds left. 2 timeouts in their pocket. They have to just go get into field goal range at this point. Unfortunately, they're starting at their own 13-yard line. They had a really good punt by Bradley Pinion, down inside the 15. The very first play of that drive, Tyrod Taylor faces a 9-yard sack. James Pierce gets the best of Armand Membu on that rep. A 4-yard check down to John Mechie, and then another 4-yard check down to John Mechie. Atlanta wastes all 3 of their timeouts on this drive trying to get the ball back, playing the field position game at this point. The Jets punt it from inside their own end zone, and they pin the Falcons at their own 33. So a very good punt by Austin McNamara, who continues having a ridiculous rookie season for a punter. Atlanta starts on their 33-yard line with 57 seconds left and 0 timeouts. They have an incomplete pass to Kyle Pitts on the sideline where Jamien Sherwood does a very good job in man-to-man coverage, playing through the hands of the receiver. Almost could have been, maybe should have been defensive pass interference on Sherwood, but they didn't call it. They were letting the players, hand fight a little more downfield towards the ending of this game. So incomplete pass on first down, incomplete pass on second down, targeting David Sills over the middle. He actually dropped it on an in-breaking route. And then on third down, he tries to hit Darnell Mooney on a crossing route. 2 defenders are in the area. They could have come away with the interception if both eyes were, turned towards the quarterback. Perhaps they could have broke on the ball and made an interception. Nonetheless, it is an incomplete 3 and out for the Atlanta Falcons. So now the Jets, who wisely took their timeout 2 drives ago with 1:48 left, they get the ball, 35 seconds left, 2 timeouts in their pocket. They're starting at their own 43-yard line after a pretty solid return by Isaiah Williams, 16 yards. So Isaiah Williams comes up big in 2 moments in this game, on the kick return and then on this punt return. Tyrod Taylor scrambles to the right through the B gap for a 14-yard gain, gets the New York Jets in Atlanta Falcons territory. They have a false start penalty on Armand Membu, his second of the game. That backs them up 5. Tyrod Taylor then hits A.D. Mitchell on the left sideline for 10 yards. They don't get out of bounds, so New York has to use their second timeout with 20 seconds left. Taylor throws an incomplete to A.D. Mitchell. He then completes a pass to A.D. Mitchell on 3rd and 5. They like to do these little slant routes to A.D. Mitchell in this game in 3rd and medium to set up for the potential of 4th and short, or, do we want to be able to have the opportunity to go for it on 4th and short, or should we kick the field goal on 4th and short? Nonetheless, they complete the 5-yard pass to A.D. Mitchell. They rule it a first down on the field after review. So the Jets have to use their 3rd and final timeout with 12 seconds left. Now, I think AG did a very good job of preserving the clock and the timeouts in this situation late game. I understand there are some people out there who want to speculate if they should have just kicked the field goal with 12 seconds left from the Atlanta 33-yard line. So that would have been a 51, maybe a 50-yard attempt for Nick Folk. So I get it. You could totally have made that argument that with 12 seconds left, you just kick it. And then you just go and you do the kickoff and a couple reps of defense, and you get off the field with the win in that situation. However, the Jets didn't do that. They decided to keep running plays with 12 seconds left. They get a penalty, false start. They label it on everyone but the center. But I feel like more often than not in the NFL, when that situation happens, when all 4 of your offensive linemen and the tight end that was supposed to be in to protect on that play, when they're all on the same page and they jump early, I think that's more on the center. I just don't think he had the snap count right. And I feel like that was more on Josh Myers. Not definitively blaming Josh, but I just don't think it was everybody but the center's fault in that moment. Either way, the Jets back up 5 yards to the Atlanta 38. So now instead of a 51-yard field goal, they're looking at a 56-yard field goal. They waste 4 seconds on the next play. Basically 2 Tyrod Taylor throwaways, just trying to hit an outbreaking route. If it's not there, throw it away type of situation. They wind the clock all the way down, end up settling the 56-yard field goal by Nick Folk. He's kicking it from the middle of the Jets logo, and it is a low line drive through the bottom left corner of the upright. We didn't get the reverse angle to see just how far it made it by, But judging by the fact that the 55-yarder just came up just short and then the 56-yarder just barely made it, I think that's safe to say that's probably all Nick Folk has left in his 41-year-old legs. Completely fine. He made the kick. The Jets win, and they have their third victory of the season. So all in all, a close game in terms of score. The Jets were able to play their brand of football throughout, although it wasn't the most successful brand of Jets football, right? So we'll go through the box score. Tyrod Taylor, basically a game manager in this one. 19 of 33 passing, 172 yards. So nothing, that's really going to put him in any Ring of Honor conversations here in New York. But 172 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He was only sacked 2 times for 13 yards. The story of the day with Tyrod Taylor, however, in my opinion, is 8 rushes for 44 yards and 1 touchdown. That is a perfect stat line for Tyrod Taylor, something that we've been hoping to see out of our starting quarterback, Justin Fields, for the most part this season. But Tyrod Taylor made it work with his legs. He was able to escape, scramble, get out of the pocket when need be. There weren't designed quarterback runs, but when he took off and ran, he made sure he made the most of it. So I loved getting 44 yards on the ground from Tyrod Taylor. Total about 215 total yards, 1 touchdown on the ground, 1 touchdown through the air, and 0 turnovers from Tyrod Taylor. So he played just about as good of a football game you can ask for your backup, who's basically a game manager at this point. Breece Hall had 19 carries for 68 yards, only a 3.6 average, but he did find the end zone on that short field where they had only 2 yards to go on the drive. But I do love Breece Hall getting 19 carries and 2 targets. I don't love the 2 targets, just as that whole number, but 21 total opportunities for Breece Hall to touch the ball. He takes advantage. He ends the game with 81, I believe, total yards. So he did his part, and I felt like when they feed Breece and they can stay in those game scripts where sometimes it's run, pass. I get that it's not the most sexy style of offense, but if they can run it on first and second down, get to a third and short, run it again, maybe not with Breece Hall, but with Isaiah Davis or Tyrod Taylor on a scramble, I think that's the world that the Jets offensively want to live in. So I love Breece Hall getting 19 carries in this game. In terms of the receivers, Adonai Mitchell, we talked about the big play touchdown for 52 yards. He ends the day 12 targets, 8 receptions, 102 yards, and 1 touchdown. So he is the storyline of the day from a positive perspective from this Jets offense. I really like what I've seen from both John Mechie and A.D. Mitchell. I would like to see maybe a game where both of them have really good stats, right? I felt like John Mechie was the guy the last 2 weeks, finding the end zone with just over 110 total yards in those 2 games. A.D. Mitchell was kind of an afterthought in those football games, and now A.D. Mitchell shows up, 8 catches, 102 yards, and a touchdown. Unfortunately, John Mechie on the other side, 8 targets, only 4 receptions. He had at least 2, if not 3 drops that I think they're going to hit him with. Only 19 yards on a long of 7. So it was a lot of checkdowns to John Mechie in this game. And on the opportunities where he had the chance to catch it and run, he did drop it. So he had a walk-in touchdown waiting for him on a crosser in the red zone. Tyrod Taylor put it on him. He just dropped it. So not necessarily the best game for John Mechie, but I think in totality, these 2 receiver additions mid-season by Darren Muji are going to prove to be very important ones as this team moves forward into 2026 and beyond, because if A.D. Mitchell can be your 3, if Mechie can be your 4, if Arian Smith, once he gets out of the doghouse, can be your 5 in 2026, I think you're setting yourself up really well. You get Garrett Wilson back from injury. You add a first or second round receiver in the draft with one of their top, 4. They have 4 top 50 picks as it stands right now. So there is a chance where this wide receiver room looks so much more talented, and they only really add 1 body to it entering next season. I think what they have in-house has proven to be enough from a wide receiver 3 and 4 perspective. So it's really just, again, finding that wide receiver 2, but now you don't feel like all you have is wide receiver fives after Garrett Wilson. So I like that from the offense. Defensively, I want to shout out Will McDonald. I believe he had 4 quarterback hits. He unfortunately didn't record a sack, but he did have the near sack on Kirk Cousins in a very crucial 2nd and 9 situation late in the game. I really want to see Will McDonald have one of those, boom type games again where he gets 2+ sacks, and he's at 7.5, I believe, this season. So he's probably going to get to the 10 sack mark, which in today's world is a very good milestone, right? Back-to-back years with 10+ sacks for an individual on a very poor football team is a very good, self-accolade. But I do want to see that game where Will McDonald is able to, take over and dominate like we saw maybe a little bit against Pittsburgh, and then his 4-sack game later this year. I believe that was against the Browns where they had all those sacks? So I definitely want to see Will McDonald continue to wreck, game scripts and wreck second halves of these games. But he did have 4 quarterback hits, 1 tackle for loss. I thought Brandon Stevens did okay outside of that missed tackle. AZ Thomas had some very good tackles early on in the game. He did get beat on one pass concept that I thought was not the end of the world, right? Those are your rookie lumps that you're probably going to take with AZ Thomas, and that's okay because when AZ does make a play like that 3rd down wrap up tackle on the very first drive, they ran a toss to Tyler Algier, and they were able to stop him dead in his tracks on AZ's great wrap up tackle and get off the field. So the rookies are definitely showing enough from that day 3 perspective of the guys who are on the field, right? AZ Thomas, the 3rd rounder, Malachi Moore, the 4th rounder. Obviously, we don't see Tyler Barron. He's inactive in this game, but for the most part, the rookies are playing their part and sometimes taking their rookie lumps. Speaking of rookie lumps, Armand Membu, unfortunate, but when you are all the way in week 13 and you're saying Armand Membu had that game that's like, well, yeah, he is a rookie, right? He had 2 false start penalties. He got beat pretty bad for a sack in the 4th quarter on Tyrod Taylor. So not the best game for Armand Membu, but the fact that his worst game, quote unquote, came in week 13 as a rookie shows that he has hit the ground running and he is damn near elite as a right tackle in this league. So it wasn't the best game for Membu. On the flip side, Fashanu had a very good game, and you can still see the budding elite potential in this tackle group for the New York Jets. So that was my only, I guess, wart about the rookie performance today was Armand Membu in protection against James Pierce, but that's completely fine. Special teams, again, Isaiah Williams made his 2 big plays, the kick return for 83 yards down to the Atlanta 15. If I could nitpick, I just want to see him score that touchdown because the Jets settled for a field goal on that drive. So that could have given the Jets much more momentum, scoring to go up 21-17. Instead, they tie it at 17. But regardless, Isaiah Williams sets them up with a short field. He has another good punt return as well for 16 yards. His only one of the day got the Jets to inside their own 40-yard line to start the drive. So they had a short field to go for the field goal. Nick Folk, he has proven that he is human. He missed his 55-yard attempt, his first of the season, but he hit his 56-yard attempt to end the game, the more important one. He hit all 3 of his extra points as well. So 5 of 6 on his kicks for the day. And special teams just continues to impress me. Even Michael Walker had a really great play on special teams late in the 4th quarter that was giving the Jets a ton of momentum in this game. So really impressed. I think it was a complete team win, including the coaching staff having, a solid game plan in place to play their brand of football, continue running the ball. Defensively, you want to see them tighten up a little bit. Bijan Robinson ran all over them in this game. I believe he ended with just under 200 total yards. He had 51 receiving yards and 142 rushing yards. So they had 193 total yards is not a good look. He was averaging 126 scrimmage yards entering this game on the season. So it is, you know, it's inevitable that Bijan Robinson is going to put his stamp on a football game. And the Jets did a good job of minimizing it to a degree. He had a lot of 10 to 15 yard runs, but he didn't really break that 50, 60, 70-yard home run. They had one explosive play to him for 42 yards on a check down. It might have been even a screen, and they got 42 yards out of that. And then they got tacked on with the roughing the passer penalty, added 15 yards. So it was really a 57-yard play. And that was their biggest play of the game from Bijan Robinson specifically. So the Jets didn't do great on defense, but they did enough, right? They pressured Kirk Cousins when they had to. They only got 2 sacks of Kirk Cousins, but they were the 2 most unlikely people to get sacks. Michael Clemens gets his first sack of the season, and Tony Adams on a very well-timed DB blitz where they sent at least 6 or 7 at Kirk Cousins. Tony Adams gets free. I really thought Tony Adams was going to jar the ball loose on the strip sack of Kirk Cousins, but Kirk does a good job holding on to it. So Adams, Clemens, they get their first sacks of the season. So the unlikeliest of players helping the Jets in this win in that capacity. But all in all, a team win. Offense did just enough. Defense did just enough. Special teams continues to improve. It's no longer a fluke that the special teams is good. They are good. And coaching gets praise. So with that, we're going to end it on that one. Like the video, subscribe if you're new. DT signing out saying, let's go Jets.